Imagine a world long ago, when gods and heroes still walked the earth, shaping the destinies of mortals and weaving legends that would echo through the ages. This is the world of the Odyssey, an epic poem composed by the ancient Greek poet Homer. Set in the aftermath of the Trojan War, the Odyssey tells the story of Odysseus, a wily and resourceful king whose cunning and resilience are matched only by the enormity of his struggles. His journey home to Ithaca, an island kingdom far across the wine-dark sea, takes 10 long years. 10 years filled with unimaginable perils, strange lands, seductive enchantresses, ravenous monsters, and the ever-watchful eyes of gods who both aid and hinder him. The Odyssey is not just about a physical voyage across stormy seas and distant shores. It's also a profound exploration of character, morality, loyalty, and the enduring bonds of family and community. Odysseus's battles are not only with external foes, cyclopes, cannibals, and monsters, but with his own heart, mind, and desires. His struggles mirror our own eternal questions. What does it mean to be true to oneself and one's family? How do we maintain hope and dignity amidst chaos and despair? How do we withstand temptation, remain faithful, and find the courage to return home? Our story begins not with Odysseus himself, but in Ithaca, the home he left behind 20 years earlier. A full decade of war at Troy has ended, and another decade has passed since that victorious, bloody conclusion. Yet Odysseus, the brilliant strategist who conceived the Trojan horse, has not returned. In Ithaca's great hall, chaos reigns. Dozens of suitors, arrogant, gluttonous, selfish young nobles, have invaded Odysseus's palace, feasting on his wealth and pressing his faithful wife, Queen Penelope, to choose one of them as her new husband. Penelope mourns her absent king, weaving and unweaving a burial shroud to delay choosing among these unworthy men. Her cleverness matches Odysseus's. Through trickery, she buys time, hoping beyond hope that Odysseus will return. But Odysseus's fate is uncertain. Held captive by the nymph Calypso on her lush island of Ogygia, he yearns for home. Though Calypso offers him immortality and eternal pleasure, Odysseus longs only to return to the mortal life he built, to see his wife and his son. This son, Telemachus, now grown nearly to manhood, chafes under the suitor's tyranny. Guided by the gray-eyed goddess Athena, who favors Odysseus for his wit and valor, Telemachus sets sail to learn his father's fate. He journeys to Pylos and Sparta, speaking with old Nestor and fair-haired Menelaus, comrades of Odysseus from the Trojan War. From them, Telemachus hears faint tidings. Odysseus is alive but delayed, roaming far seas. This voyage steels Telemachus's resolve and sets him on the path toward his own maturity. He begins as a timid youth overshadowed by bullies, and now he grows into a man who can stand beside his father, shoulder to shoulder. Meanwhile, in a distant council on Mount Olympus, Athena pleads Odysseus' case. Zeus decrees that the hero be set free. The messenger god, Hermes, orders Calypso to release him. Odysseus builds a raft and sails away, only to be shipwrecked once more by the wrath of the sea god Poseidon, who still nurses a deep grudge against him. Exhausted and battered by storms, Odysseus washes ashore in the land of the Phaeacians, a seafaring people blessed by the gods with prosperity and kindness. They welcome the ragged stranger, show him gentle hospitality, and ask him to share his story. Rested and comforted, Odysseus reveals his identity and begins the riveting tale of his wanderings after Troy's fall. Here the narrative shifts to Odysseus' own voice, recounting a series of adventures that would test any mortal's endurance and moral fiber. First, he speaks of the land of the Lotus Eaters, where his men nearly lose themselves in a blissful forgetfulness induced by a magical flower. Next, the crew stumbles upon the island of the Cyclopes. There, they become trapped in the cave of Polyphemus, a monstrous one-eyed giant who devours some of Odysseus's men. With cleverness and courage, Odysseus blinds Polyphemus and escapes, but this deed earns him the everlasting hatred of Polyphemus's father, Poseidon. They sail onward, reaching the home of Aeolus, the windkeeper, who gifts Odysseus a bag containing all the unruly winds. But Odysseus's crew, curious and suspicious, opens the bag just before reaching Ithaca's shores, blowing them far off course again. They encounter the cannibal Laestrygonians, who destroy most of their fleet. Only Odysseus's ship escapes. Their next destination is the island of Circe, a powerful sorceress who turns some of the crew into swine. Here Odysseus shows his cunning once more, outwitting Circe with the help of Hermes' magical herb and winning her cooperation. They remain with her for a year, feasting and resting, while Odysseus's heart still longs for home. Circe eventually directs Odysseus to descend into the underworld to seek the wisdom of the blind prophet Tiresias. This journey to the realm of the dead is a haunting, shadowy passage. Among the ghosts, Odysseus meets fallen comrades and his own mother's spirit. Tiresias warns him to avoid the sacred cattle of the sun god Helios if he hopes to return home alive. Odysseus emerges from the underworld with heavy knowledge and a deeper understanding of mortality and fate. After returning to Circe's island, he sets sail again, navigating past the irresistible sirens, whose enchanting song lures sailors to their doom, by plugging his men's ears with wax and having himself bound to the mast. The journey grows increasingly perilous. Odysseus chooses to brave Scylla, a six-headed monster perched on a cliff, rather than risk the whirlpool Charybdis. Though he loses 6 men to Scylla's snapping jaws, the ship sails onward. Eventually, they reach the island of Helios's cattle, and Odysseus warns his men not to harm the sacred beasts. But hunger and desperation drive them to slaughter the cattle while Odysseus sleeps. Helios demands revenge, and Zeus obliterates Odysseus' ship with a thunderbolt. Only Odysseus survives, clinging to a piece of wreckage, drifting until he reaches Ogygia, the island of Calypso, where he remains stranded for 7 years. Having told this extraordinary tale to the Phaeacians, Odysseus wins their sympathy. They gift him passage home, ferrying him secretly to Ithaca's shore. There, Athena disguises him as a beggar, advising him to be patient and cunning. Now begins a different kind of test, not of brute strength or clever wordplay, but of emotional endurance and moral discernment. Odysseus' home is besieged by suitors who insult his memory, plan to kill his son, and pressure his loyal wife Penelope to choose a new husband. Odysseus must learn who is loyal and who is not. In secret, Odysseus visits Eumaeus the swineherd, a loyal retainer who offers kindness to the ragged stranger. He meets Telemachus, just returned from his voyage, and father and son embrace tearfully. Odysseus, still disguised, tests the servants and suitors. He endures abuse and mockery, his pride stinging, but he keeps his silence. Penelope, ever faithful yet weary, proposes a test of skill. She will marry the man who can string Odysseus' mighty bow and shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads. The day of reckoning dawns. The suitors fail the challenge, their arrogance shattered by the stubborn bow. Odysseus, still in the beggar's guise, steps forward and effortlessly strings it. In a sudden, explosive moment of truth, he casts off his disguise and unleashes his vengeance on the suitors. With Telemachus, Eumaeus, and other loyal allies, he slays them, restoring honor and order to his hall. Justice is bloody and swift. Yet even after this grim triumph, Odysseus must prove himself to Penelope, who has become cautious after decades of heartbreak and false hopes. She tests him by mentioning their marriage bed, which he crafted from a living olive tree. His intimate knowledge convinces her that this truly is her long-lost husband. The couple's reunion is profoundly moving. Tears, laughter, disbelief, and finally a quiet joy settle in the lamplit chamber. Odysseus' journey is complete, but not without cost. In the final chapters, Odysseus visits his aged father, Laertes, who sobs at his son's return. Some of the townspeople seek vengeance for their slain kin. Athena intervenes, commanding peace. The cycle of violence and feud is arrested by divine decree. Harmony and order are restored, at least for now. Throughout this intense narrative, Homer weaves universal themes that still ring true today. The Odyssey resonates because it explores what it means to be human, to suffer and hope, to wander and yearn for home, to love and lose, to fail and try again. We see in Odysseus a complex hero, cunning, flawed, courageous, proud, and endlessly determined. We empathize with Penelope's unwavering faith, Telemachus' growth into manhood, and the moral dilemmas faced by each character as they navigate a world ruled by capricious gods, harsh nature, and fragile human bonds. The tension between faith and doubt is present in every prayer and sacrifice made to the gods, who can be both protectors and tormentors. The longing for justice and meaning emerges in Odysseus' struggle to reclaim his home and name. The tension between reason and passion shows up in nearly every trial he faces. When to use force, when to negotiate, when to trust, and when to deceive. Carnal desire and spiritual aspiration intertwine as well. Odysseus and his crew face temptations, from the lotus eaters who promise oblivion to the sirens who lure them with seductive songs. They must learn to master themselves, to remain faithful to their ultimate goal despite temptations that promise immediate pleasure. In the face of monstrous threats and divine whims, the search for a moral compass becomes crucial. Odysseus is not perfect. He's cunning, sometimes cruel, occasionally boastful, but he grows through his hardships, learning compassion and understanding the value of loyalty and honesty. His homecoming is more than a return to Ithaca's shores. It's a moral homecoming, a restoration of rightful order, a healing of old wounds. For a modern audience, the Odyssey remains gripping and familiar. We empathize with characters misunderstood and burdened by duty. We recognize the conflicts between personal desire and societal expectation, between heroism and humility. The poem's message transcends time. We must each find a way to navigate chaos, trust our wits and moral compass, and have faith that even after immense hardship, love and understanding can prevail. In the end, the Odyssey stands as one of the great foundational epics of Western literature, a mirror held up to the human condition. It shows us courage tested against cruelty, hope tempered by despair, and the unstoppable longing for home that defines us. We leave the story with a renewed understanding of perseverance, the necessity of cunning and courage, and the profound comfort of reunion and forgiveness. Odysseus's journey, with all its twists and turns, is a roadmap not just for heroes of old, but for anyone who struggles through life's storms seeking a safe harbor and the warm glow of a lamp in a familiar window. At its core, the Odyssey teaches that even after the darkest nights, after the wildest storms, there is the promise of dawn, and with it, the chance to return to what we hold dear, having grown wiser, humbler, and more human than before.